You're listening to the Dr. Shoup Show on Freedom 95. We're changing your life with the truth about dental health you may have never heard before. And now free. See exclusive videos, hear on-demand audio anytime, online at ddsradio.com. Here's Dr. Randy Shoup. I'm lifting high.
Well, it's so good to have you here. Thank you very, very much. And this is particularly exciting for me. You and I have talked at length about the amount of anxiety that goes into, for many, many folks, coming to the dental office and how much it is upsetting, it's disturbing, and the proximity of being there, being in a very vulnerable position in the dental chair with somebody hovering over you. And I am proud to announce that I have with me probably one of the U.S.'s leading cuddle experts. I have Keeley Shoup on the line, my great and terrific daughter. How are you, Keeley?
Hey, Dad, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
You're very, very welcome. Now, I want to give everybody some background. This is my youngest daughter, Keeley. She has graduated from college, has moved to Chicago, and in Chicago, you have found kind of a really comfortable calling in terms of helping people and helping people get much more in touch with being comfortable with intimacy and with their own selves. Describe for my listeners, I told them about Cuddle Therapy. Kind of describe what it entails, please.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So it's intuitive healing touch therapy. When we cuddle, when human beings cuddle, we produce the neurochemical oxytocin. It calms us down. It reduces our blood pressure. It reduces our heart rate. It boosts. And it's also linked to the centers of the brain that respond to connection and trust. So what we're doing in kind of this cuddle therapy sense is getting a really relaxed, comfortable environment for someone to really take off the stresses of the day. It also, what Cuddlist does, and what we're trained to do, there is a certification process, is create a structured environment that's all catered around boundaries and consent.
Absolutely cool. When you first introduced this idea to me, you said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going to become a cuddlist." My first thought was, what in the heck are you doing? But for my listeners, the more Keeley has explained this, the more I've seen her work, the more I've enjoyed having her tell me what it does. I mean, this is a tremendously valuable service for those people that have anxiety levels or intimacy issues. Who do you find are your main clientele? Who are the clients that come and seek your services so that you can help them?
Yeah, so I would say the vast majority of my clients, and they're very diverse, but I would say the majority come from people who are extremely career-oriented. In Chicago, there's a lot of hustle and bustle. You've got career-driven business people who put their heart and soul into their jobs, but it doesn't always leave that much time for authentic connection outside of the workplace. And a lot of people, especially in Chicago, you hear this rhetoric over and over again. They're tired of the bar scene. They don't want that kind of connection. They just want to be able to relax, authentically connect, and feel comfortable with somebody. So that's the majority of clientele. But I also see people who are trauma survivors, and they need a place to reintegrate touch in their lives. Again, that's centered around boundaries and consent. So it's a much safer and slow process to reintegrate that. I have some people who are on the autism spectrum, so connection and relaxing doesn't come very easily to them. So they get a place that is completely judgment-free, where they're not going to worry if they are too awkward. They're not going to worry if they don't have to worry about the high pressure of different social situations that for them and for their lives are often too much, or too much sensory input, just on a real basic level. So we try to cater every single session to the person, their specific needs, but those are kind of the demographics that I see most often.
Now, one of the things that you and I talked about, and one of the things as a dad, and I got a daughter in Chicago, I worried about your safety, your well-being, and this is, and some people would sometimes think, well, this is some sort of there's a sexual encounter involved or something like that. This is, the way you do your business is, it is non-sexual. It is teaching people how to feel good about themselves, specifically not engaging in sex. Do I have that correct?
That's actually right, and most people are really surprised about that. I don't think that most people get many opportunities in life to associate touch and cuddling with anything other than sex. And that's a bit of a shame. When we're little kids, we love cuddling, and it's not seen as anything weird or normal. But as we get older, there start to be stigmas around people hugging each other or touching each other. But our need, the basic human need for touch and connection, doesn't go away. So having this be just purely platonic is different for a lot of people, and it takes some refocusing. It takes some intentionality. I work with clients in the very beginning of our sessions to set an intention for the session, and we're going to try to stick to that. So it really is a mindful meditation practice on, I'm going to make this about platonic touch right now, and that can be a challenge for some people.
You're listening to the Dr. Randy Shoup Show. I am your host, Dr. Randy Shoup, and that is my daughter, Keeley Shoup. She is a Chicago resident, and she is a certified, trained, bona fide cuddlist. And she works with people in Chicago to help them with their intimacy issues, help them de-stress and to get enjoyment out of interpersonal relationship stuff when life gets a little bit too crazy and hectic. Now, you have told me that you have a couple of patients, I call everybody patients. You have a couple of patients / clients that have some real physical disabilities. I thought that was really interesting how you help those people.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. So some of my clients have physical disabilities, and some of them have either emotional or mental disabilities. I work with people on the autism spectrum. So for them, a lot of the time, sensory input is a really important thing to watch out for. It can be overwhelming. Social situations are often really uncomfortable. So we work with that kind of a thing. There's also some clients I have who have physical manifestations or physical ailments. I have some clients with asthma or different kinds of joint and muscle problems. One of my clients has incredibly bad rheumatoid arthritis and has had chronic pain for many, many years. One of the things that he says, the reason why he travels, honestly, all the way from Iowa to come to Chicago to come to be a client, is because for the weeks after he has a cuddle session, he feels better. His pain is reduced. Most of the pain medications he's on, he's built up quite a bit of an immunity to, and it's some relief for him. So, yeah, there's all different kinds that come and get a lot of different benefit from it.
Well, it comes clear from Iowa. Obviously, he finds that there is a significant and huge benefit, and obviously he feels better. Do you find you work with people mostly one-on-one like that, or do you are there groups that come to see you that you help do you work with couples? Do you work with parents and children? Who all do you work with?
So it's great that you asked, because there's actually two facets to my work. I do Cuddlist, which is one-on-one. That's completely catered. I can also do couples sessions with those, and that's really about opening up channels of communication between couples so that they can connect in a different way and in a more intentional and deep way. Again, all the sessions stay platonic, but we're just refocusing on how can we communicate better, how can we set clear boundaries, communicate consent, but also get the most out of our time and out of our touch. How can we get the most of that? So that's one thing I do. The other facet of what I do is called Cuddle Parties, and that's a group environment. There's typically anywhere from 15 to 25 people per cuddle party, and it starts off with a 40-minute workshop on the agreements for the event, and there are different communication skills that I teach around boundaries and consent and why communication is important. And then we spend the next 3 hours cuddling. So there's different atmospheres.
How many people fall asleep?
A really good number of them. Actually, that's common.
You get your jammies on, you get all comfortable on a couch, cuddle up with somebody. You know, sleep is real close right after a lot of that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. And that's kind of one of the beauty of cuddle parties, because there's no expectation to ever cuddle or participate in any way that's uncomfortable for anyone. So I do have people who'll come and they'll just take a nap because it's one of the most comforting environments that they've been in. I used to have a client who came to cuddle parties in a group setting so that they could study for their doctorate, because it was the only place they could go where they felt like they were just really at home and comfortable, and they would never engage in cuddling, and that's absolutely welcome. It's kind of a really beautiful scenario where people can absolutely do what's most nurturing for them in that moment, and they're not going to be judged.
Well, one of the things that's popping into my head is, I mean, I can see a couple who's been together for a long, long time, and they, you know, they kind of like two ships that pass in the night anymore. I mean, they used to be closer, they used to hold hands, they used to feel closer to each other, but as they got older and life got busier, they would start, you know, drift apart, and then ultimately, then you can start to think about, you know, well, they get dissatisfied, they go find other partners, they get divorced, and does your work with couples to help reignite that stuff?
Absolutely. In fact, this past weekend, I just worked with a couple who they are great at, they still love each other. They've got these active, full, wonderful lives, but they have a hard time communicating around touch. They've tried several different things, and one of the things that we worked on together was, how do you break this down in a way that's so basic that you're not getting into the age-old feedback loop of, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. I'll do anything you want to do. Like, there's that feedback loop that I'm sure everyone has gone through, whether it's going out to dinner or whether it's what you want, like how you want to connect with someone at night. So one of the things we worked on is taking it down to a really basic level and step by step start off being as specific as you possibly can and getting verbal confirmation for the next step. So we started off with holding hands. You turn to your partner and ask, may I hold your hand? Sit there for a couple of deep breaths and find out, do I enjoy this? Do I like this? If the answer is yes, then you can continue. If the answer is no, then you find something else. And then you get as specific as, all right, now we're holding hands. Can I rub my thumb on the back of your hand? And you go step by step, and taking that kind of laser focus and intentionality to touch awakens it in a whole different way. And again, you're staying within the realm of platonic, but it can really breed this immense amount of connection. And one of the things that they reported was the most beneficial from that exercise is how seen and heard they felt by their partner. Their partner was so invested in whether or not they were enjoying that moment that it felt so wonderfully connected. So that's the kind of things that you can look forward to in a couple setting that addresses these issues.
You're listening to the Dr. Randy Shoup Show. I am your host, Dr. Randy Shoup, and that is my daughter. I'm very proud. It's Keeley. She is a cuddlist in Chicago, Illinois, and she's telling you all about this relatively new movement, this new technique, this new system that's out there. How long has this been around in the form of which you use it now?
So Cuddlist is fairly new. Cuddlist debuted about a year and change ago. So it was November of 2015, and I've been there since the site launched. Other forms of this have existed, but Cuddlist is kind of on the cutting edge of synthesizing all the different healing modalities. And so, yeah.
Outstanding. Now, if any of my listeners want to get in touch with you, want additional information, I want everybody to go to ddsradio.com. Go to our website, and you're going to find Cuddlist.com/Keeley. You'll be able to get on and contact Keeley directly. And if you are a Facebook user, just go to Cuddle Keeley, Cuddle Keeley. Don't worry about writing this down. Go to ddsradio.com. It'll all be there. Jacob will put, connections for you, and you'll be able to connect up with Keeley in Chicago. Tell me about people in Indiana, Indianapolis, or are you willing to travel?
I am willing to travel, although it can get somewhat expensive. But the next exciting thing is I'm bringing Cuddle Party, which is a group event, to Indiana for the first time. It's coming on February the 25th. There'll be information on the Dr. Raina Shoup radio show website. So it's the first ever Cuddle Party in Indiana, and it's coming on February 25th.
Now, if somebody wanted to attend just to help them out, is there an admission fee? What do you do?
There's a ticket. Yes, there's a ticket to buy online.
Okay.
It's through Eventbrite, and so they can go purchase a ticket online and reserve their spot. Spots fill up pretty quickly, and there are early bird tickets available until 2 weeks prior to the event, and they're the discounted ones, so they sell out quick.
So if you are anybody out there that feels disconnected, feels lonely, doesn't feel like you really can connect to other people, if you are a couple who just kind of, your relationship has possibly kind of gotten a little old, stale, mundane, same in, same out, there's no particular spark to your relationship anymore, if you have some anxiety issues around people, if you have part of the autism spectrum, and you have a really hard time being around people and being close to people, go find Keeley. Does that pretty much cover it?
That honestly, anyone can come out. The Cuddle Parties themselves, they're a really fun time. We're talking about all the serious health benefits of it, but you're also got to remember it's a bunch of pajama-clad adults sitting around having a good time laughing together. I'll bring all my supplies. There's pandas that stuffed animal pandas that people can hug. It's just a really good time.
Keeley, thank you very, very much for being on the radio program with me. Your dad's very, very proud of you. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, Dad.
Okay. I'll talk to you soon, sweetie. All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right.